Hi, today we learn second week lecture materials by online. First, we'll use sometimes Visual Studio code. The program size is about 250 megabytes. Okay. Using the browser, any browser, we'll try to get that Visual Studio code. Okay, let's try to continue. As I explained already, we are learning HTML5. Thus you can click here. And in last lecture, we learned here until this chapter, HTML colors. And in this week, we learn about this one from this CSS chapter through these iframes. Those chapters we should learn in this second week. Thus, let's start from this chapter, CSS. Okay, CSS. That full name is Cascading Style Sheet. Those style sheets are cascaded. How those are cascaded, we'll learn. And mainly about this CSS we learn in the CSS tutorial after finishing HTML5 section. After finishing HTML5 tutorial, we learn CSS. But in the HTML inline style, we learn that is related to this CSS. Those we are learning in advance. Okay, about the CSS, about the styling, HTML to CSS, that is related to the design. How to make our web page beautiful in terms of design. This CSS is related to that. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet, and this one is describing how HTML elements are to be displayed on screen, paper, even in other media. But we'll focus on that display on screen. And with this one, we can save a lot of work in terms of design. You can control the layout of multiple web pages all at once. And there are three ways. One is inline. Another one is internal. Final one is external. And in HTML, these inline and internal, those are related. In that web page, HTML web page, those are included. This inline is in the HTML elements, thus that is called inline. Internal, that means it is internal in the web page, HTML page. In that case, we should use style element in the header section of that HTML page. External, this is located in the other area that may be in the same folder or in the different folder, it doesn't matter. That is anyhow located in the other places. That is located externally. Okay. And we learn in the CSS tutorial much more in detail about this. And here, let's try to look at this inline CSS first. An inline CSS is used to apply a unique style to a single HTML element. An inline CSS uses the style attribute of an HTML element. For example, text color in the H1 element. Here, that example is here. Let's try to see. This is the source code for that. And this style here, this is style attribute. And inside of that, this double quotation mark, that is CSS style. The format is, the syntax is property and that property value. If we are changing that color property into the different color, as we learned already, that can be the color name or in hexadecimal format. Then you can change the color like this. This is called inline style because that is in this element, inline. Another one is internal CSS. This internal means internal within that single HTML page. In that case, we should use this style element, but in the header section, like this. Header section in the HTML document, from here to here. Below this is body section, as we learned. And here, style and slash style. This section, those are internal style. Here we can define the style here. And how to define? About the syntax, and we'll learn about that syntax later. And here, anyhow, body, that color, background color should be powder blue, and H1 here, H1 element here, or H1 tag here, that color should be blue. And P, that color should be red. First, let's try to execute that and into the browser. And this one is showing that result. And also, as I mentioned already, you can simply change anyone if you want. Even your hexadecimal format, you can try like this. Thus you can change the color. Opened tab can be closed, and except this one. And let's look at external CSS. External style sheet used to define this style for many HTML pages. Single external CSS file can be used for many other HTML pages. Thus, it is very convenient to change the look of an entire web page simply by changing one file, that is the CSS external CSS file. We can change the whole design simply. How to use that? Here, to use an external style sheet, add a link to it in the head section of the HTML file, HTML page, like this. In this head section, we should use this link element. And this REL means relationship, that is style sheet. H reference, and that external style, CSS style file, that should be here. If that is located in the same folder, we don't need to describe any other path name, but if that is located in the other directory, in other folder, or in other computer, then we should specify the full URL here. Let's look at the example here. Okay, styles.css, that is another file, single file. And this one is another file. And that is a different file. This one is brought to use here for this design. This is external CSS. That file here is simply like this. This is how the style.css file here. In that file, that is like this. Thus, to the installed Visual Studio Code, you can copy this one. Also, you can copy this one, and the name should be styles.css. Okay, about padding, we are learning about the property of this CSS. There are so many properties, and we should be familiar to them. And mainly, we learn about these properties in the CSS tutorial. Okay, CSS padding. Here, the borderline and more, we can provide some design that is about the padding. Padding is the space between the element, text, and the borderline. Let's look at between them. Here, that is the padding. Like our padding clothes. And margin is outside of the borderline. Here, let's look at this part, margin. And margin means like that, outside of the borderline, the space, external space, that is called margin, 50 pixels. You can change them. If I am using 0 pixel, then this one. There's margin here. Between them, there's no margin. 1 pixel can draw like this. You can see a slight difference. Okay, we are learning many attributes belonging to this HTML element. Here we learn about ID attribute. ID is to provide some identification to that element, like your student ID. To each student to identify, we need this ID. Okay, we are learning ID, and to differentiate that ID. Okay, to differentiate that element to this ID, like a student ID, we can differentiate the students. We need to use this specific ID, and this ID should be unique, like your student ID. There should be no duplicate ID. Okay, let's try. Here, in the style, we are using this hash character and the P01. After this hash character, this is ID name. Hash character means this following name is ID name. Okay, there's here P01, that is ID name. That specific P element to that ID name can be differentiated from others, even though they are using the same P here. We can differentiate this one from others, and only this one we can apply this type, like this. Okay, you can try others. You can change. Okay, after closing other tabs, let's move to the next. Okay, let's look at this note. The ID of an element should be unique within a page. So the ID selector is used to select one unique element. This one is called selector, to select specific element. And this one is a little bit different from the ID, and this is class attribute. And due to this one, we can define a style for special types of elements, add a class attribute to the element. This class we can apply, and many elements can be related to this style, and we can use this class in many different elements. Okay, let's look at this example. Okay, here, style. The style is defined here, and that means that is class, and the following name is class name. The others are same. It is curly bracket. The style is defined there. First one is property and property value. Many property values can be enumerated here. Here, class. The name is error. We are using in different elements here. This class can be used in many areas, many different places like this, and we can apply this type to different key elements. Okay, externally, as we learned already, externally we can refer to that style. This is the example for that. Let's look at these external references. These external style sheets can be referenced with the full URL or with a path relative to the current web page. Let's look at this example. As we used already, this link element can be used for this, and this relationship is style sheet. And here we can specify the full URL or just the path name, or if that CSS file is located in the same folder with this HTML web page file, then we don't need to specify the full path name or full URL. Just file name will be enough. Okay, yeah, this one is the file located in the different folder. Then we should specify that path name here. Okay, as we used already, if that web page is located in the same folder with this CSS file, then we don't need to specify. We just simply specify the file name. That will be enough. Okay, This is the summary for this chapter, and you can refer to others, including these exercises. Okay, let's move to the next chapter. This one is about links. Links, that means hyperlinks. In the hyperlinking web page, we using very convenient way to link to the other remote web pages. Here, this is the tag for this. Syntax is like this. Anchor tag first, and we should use this href attribute to specify that URL to hyperlink. Like this. Okay, you can try this one with your Visual Studio Code as we used already. Okay, here I should change this one, this display, to show that display capture, and I'll show you that video here, Visual Studio Code, and this one is about that, and I copied this one and I changed this one. Instead of the URL here, I changed that URL to this. Then if we are using go alive code, then we can see this one, and I am assuming you are very familiar to this Visual Studio Code and even this live server. And here, if that is not changed, then let me show you some other. URL here, then if that is go live, I will make it live again, like this, and you can see this one is showing this URL wopen.com. Okay, I will show you our current web page. This, yeah, you can use that Visual Studio Code, and you can understand the href attribute, and depending upon that value or this, we can hyperlink to other domain name or other web pages. Okay, simply in the same folder that is located, then we can hyperlink into the same folder, and that is called the local links. Okay, in terms of the target window, we can use several different kinds of windows depending upon their attribute value. If that value is underbar blank, then new window will be used to show the hyperlinked web page. underbar self, then that is using the same window, and underbar parent, then it is using the parent frame hierarchically. Like this, underbar blank, then here I'm clicking, then new window will be opened, and the contents, the hyperlinked contents, this one will be shown in the new window. Okay, you can try others. To show that the hyperlinked one, instead of the plain text, we can use some image. Then we can use that image that is hyperlinked. Thus, if I'm clicking this one, you can see that is hyperlinked. And let's go back again. And down here, then you can see, instead of this smiley GIF image, you can use other. And instead of that, you can try others. Let's look at some other web page. For example, I put in some image here, and I can use that. After copying that address, I can put in here. Where it is? Here, probably. Smile. Okay, let me try. Okay, so many other. Open the tabs, I close. Then first. Okay, this one should be closed also. This one should be closed. Okay, here we are. Okay, instead of the previous smiley image, we can put in that image, and that is located in the remote site. Then you can see, and you can control. Later we'll learn about this, but we'll learn in advance a little bit bigger than that. And you can try. Other image can be put in here. Any image if you want, then you can copy that image's address, and you can hyperlink. Okay, next one is button element, button tag. Here we can show this button with this button element. And if I am clicking this one, that is the JavaScript code. Later we'll learn about this. That is onClick event handling program, and that is JavaScript code. We learn later. Here in this page we are learning simply the HTML element button. With this one we can show that button here. That's it in this web page. Link title, hyperlink title one, we can show in advance like this, then that will be shown like this, like tooltip. Okay, external path. External page can be referenced with the full URL or with the path relative to the current web page. That scheme is almost the same as we learned already. Depending upon the full URL or depending upon the file's location, we should specify the full URL, or we don't need to specify. Just simply the path name or even that path name can be omitted if that file is located at the same file, same folder. Okay, if that is located in other folder but in the same server, same computer, then we are simply specifying the path name, then we can access. If that is located in the same folder, then we don't need to specify any others except this file name. Okay, you can try others. Okay, the OBS Studio, I will change it to show that only this window, because that is much simpler than showing whole screen. Let's continue. Okay, we learn about the HTML link colors. Link color, as you know, probably every day you are using web pages and you are browsing, and you can see some hyperlinked contents. The color is a little bit different. After we are visiting some web page, that color will be also changed sometimes. And this one is about that. There are several ways to show that color. Here we can specify that color. Here, A is the element to apply. This is the pseudo class and the colon link to provide some style to that specific hyperlinked element. If that is hyperlinked, then the color is a little bit different from others to differentiate. Color and even background color or text decoration we can change. Also, when we are, after we visited some web page that is hyperlinked, and after coming back, that means after visited, that is different color and text decoration maybe also changed. And we are hovering to our mouse, then also the type linked one, that color will be changed. And when we are pressing our mouse on that specific hyperlinked content, then we can change the color. Okay, you can try here. Okay, if that is visited already, then this color is changed. But if we are changing this color instead of this, let's try to use other color, and simply this hexadecimal value and the visited, and we can change that. Like that. Hovering, I'm hovering here, then you can see that is red color. And when I am clicking this one, you can see that is showing yellow color. If I am changing this one with other color, like this color, let me change back to lowercase, cyan color, okay. Active. I am clicking this one, then you can see the color is like this. That is that is defined in this style. Okay, let's move to the next. This is the example of the previous example will be changed a little bit, and about the A link, ABT. those are using the same color, you can do that, and they are divided into these comma and also here. Then for the boss, this style can be applied like this. When I'm clicking, that means active. When I am hovering, also when I am pressing this one, that means active. For both cases, the background color will be red. You can change for the color, like yellow, like this. You can try. Okay, next one is about the link tags. Defines a hyperlink, and we go to the next. Let's look at. This one is related to the link. Bookmark. How to create a bookmark? Due to this link tag, we can do that. What is the bookmarks? HTML bookmarks are used to allow readers to jump to specific part of a web page. Thus, in a single web page, some different places we can jump. That is called bookmark. These bookmarks can be useful if a web page is very long. We should use the hyperlink, a tag, and also some example. It's easy to understand. Okay, let's look at this one. Yeah, here we should use this ID name. The ID name is C4. And then later, if we are using this hyperlink in that way, this is ID name, the hash character is being used here, following this ID name. That ID name is following. Okay, let's assume this is one very long web page. And to go directly to that specific place, that is called bookmark here. If we are marking, that is called bookmark, then we can go there directly. Let's look at first this one. If I am clicking this one, then it is something to that specific chapter. If I am clicking this one, chapter 10, it will show here. Here, how to present that one? We are using this anchor hyperlink tag, a tag, link tag, and also we are using this ID name. And here, in this specific chapter, we are using the ID name C4. Then we can jump to there directly. Here, page number chapter 10. In the case, we are using ID and chapter 10. The ID name C10 is being used. Then we can jump there directly. That is called bookmark here. Also, in other web page, and in that web page specific place, we can jump directly. We can show with this one. After this, file name, HTML, and hashtag, and ID name, then we can go directly. Okay, you can try others. Let's move to the next. Okay, HTML images. Images are being used a lot in web pages. How to show and how to design. Those are very important. And the design and the appearance of a web page. You can use beautiful image and then how to show that. Here we are using this img image tag, and to bring that source, and we are using this src attribute and that source URL here. here, SRC, here we can bring other image that is belonging to other web page. We can bring here. For example, I copied this one in the last chapter, and we can show directly that here. In that case, we should specify that full URL to bring that specific image. Also, we can control that size here. That unit is pixel. Okay, in that way, we can bring, and the others are similar. And about that alternative, I'll show you that the alternative here. The previous example here. Okay, if that image URL is wrong, for example, I will erase this, then that may be wrong. And you can see this alternative character string that will be shown here. This is mainly to explain the image if that is not wrote properly, or for screen reader, for the blind people, this text string can be read because the blind people cannot see that image. That is called web accessibility, and some program that is checking web accessibility, and we can use that, and we'll learn later a little more about that. Okay, you can try others. The HTML image syntax is like this, even though we learned already. Image source and the URL. Source URL is here. And ALT attribute is mainly, this is alternative. Instead of that source image, this text string can be used, as I mentioned, for the blind people. The screen reader can read. Okay, the others are same. Also, we can control that the size of that image shown in that web page here with this style. Also, we can control that instead of use and hide. Here, that is called inline style, as we learned already. Here, style with 500 pixel and height 600 pixel. Okay, in that way, we can control the size of that image. Okay, you can shrink a little bit. Like this. Also, we can using this width and height attribute instead of that style, but that is not recommended because the style, those should be defined if possible in the CSS file. This one is width and height. These attributes always define the width and height of the image in pixels. Then there are two ways. One is width and height. We can show that the size, we can control that. And another one is in the style attribute we can control. But usually, if we are using style, that is more recommended. That is suggested here. That is mainly to prevent style sheets from changing the size of images. Instead of this way, this one is more recommendable. Also, another one, if those are included in the external CSS file, then maybe better than this also. You can try this. And this one is overriding the previous one. You can try. Images in anchor folder. If that is not specified, the browser expects to find the image in the same folder as the web page. And that is the same method as we learned already. URL, full URL, or path name, or just a simple file name, depending upon the location of that image file. Same way. Okay, animated images. HTML allows animated GIFs. Let's look at this example. Okay, this one. GIF image also can be put in here as an image. And also we can control that the size that is here. Okay, let's try to close the tabs. As we learned already, images can be used as a link. In that case, the syntax is like this. This is anchor tag for hyperlinking. Here we can use text. Then the text is hyperlinked text, but here instead of that plain text, we can use this image for better design, like this, as we learned already. Also, this can be. Okay, let me try other. Okay, there's no image. There's I'll bring. Okay, let's try. Okay, I'll bring this one. I'll copy this one. Copy image address, and I'll put in here. I'll put in here. Instead of this, then, okay, you can show this also here. Here. This one is the right place. Here, that is hyperlinked image. If I'm clicking this one, it will go to this one. And also you can change to the full URL or domain name. If that is not working, that is the limitation. If that is not working, then you can use Visual Studio Code, as we did already. Okay, that is not working, and you can use Visual Studio Code exactly to the exactly same code. Then you can see that will be hyperlinked to the new website. Okay, image floating. with the CSS property, we learn this property float later in the CSS tutorial, more in detail. Here we can control this image, and here float right. You can control the location, the position of that image. Float right. That means it is being floated and to the right. And the different value here, float left. If we want to control that should be floated on the left side, then that float left here, then that will be shown. This is called floating image. We can control with this float property. And in detail about this, we learn in the CSS tutorial. Okay, let's move to the next. Screen leaders. As I mentioned already, for the blind people, the alternative ALT, here this attribute is containing some text string, and that alternative text can be read by this screen reader. For the blind people who are visually impaired or learning disabled. Okay, let's move to the next chapter. HTML image maps. We can add clickable areas on an image like this. Some area. Click on the computer. Depending upon the clicking on that specific item, that should be hyperlinked to the different web page that is related to that specific item. Here, you can see that changed arrow pointer, that means that is hyperlink. Also, this one. Okay, if I am clicking this one, you can see that is about computer. If I am clicking this one, that is about copy. And if I am clicking this one, that is about the smartphone. Because that will be more convenient in terms of the UI, user interface. To implement that convenient application, we can use this image, same, but we are using this user map. And that ID name is workmap here. And we are using this area tag, name is area, and that area is using the shape rectangle or circle, and that is the coordination. And coordination means the position and the width and height. The position and radius, position and the radius to show that circle. Now we can try. If I am clicking this, you can see the circle here. Okay, if I am clicking here, and you can see some rectangle. Then this 34, okay, let's go back. This 34 and 44 is the x-axis and y-axis that position. and the 270 pixel, that width and height 350. In that way, we can show that rectangle here. The circle, let's go back. We need some position. This is about the position, X and Y value. And 44 pixel, that is the radius of that circle, like this. We can increment a little bit. Okay, instead of this, how about 144? Then we can see a bigger circle here, like this. You can see the slight change, and then the circle is bigger circle. Previous one. Okay, let's move after closing these tabs. Okay, this one is explain about that. We are using use map value that is starting with the hashtag, and that is followed by the name of the image map. And that is used to create the relationship between the image and the map. As we learned already, the area can be the shape of rectangle or circle or polygon. Default occupies the entire region. Here, that position and this entire rectangle. Another one, similar, and circle, 44 pixel radius. Okay, as we learned already. And depending upon the event, when we are clicking, that means one click event is happening. Click event is happening, then this JavaScript is called event handler. And this one is executed when I am clicking. As soon as I am clicking, that is called event handler, on-click event handler. Okay, like this. But this one is introduced a little bit in advance, but later we learn more in detail in JavaScript. Thus, you don't need to talk about this, even though you don't know exactly how it. This is JavaScript. Thus, if I am clicking here, that's what we get. Function is on-click my function. Area is circle area. Okay, here is not being executed, not clicked. And that the click event is here applied to this one. And you can see this is alert message. That is JavaScript code we'll learn later. Anyhow, this kind of application is possible, and for this dynamic application, we need JavaScript. Thus, that is showing JavaScript application in advance. But you don't need to worry about at this moment. After midterm exam, we learn anyhow. HTML background images. Okay. For better design, we need to use sometimes background images. We need to use this CSS property name, background image, like this. Here, this one is inline style, or even internal style or external style. We can use this one. Later, anyhow, we'll learn more in detail about this in the CSS tutorial. But here, this one is only example used in this inline style. Background image, and how we can bring the image, and that is the URL for that. Okay, let's look at this real example. Okay, in this syntax, we can bring the image here, background image and URL. And also, as we learned already, in the same way, we can bring some image located in other web page in the remote site, like this. Then we can bring other image as background image. Background image on a page, and the syntax is like this, same, and this one can be used in this body tag. There's the body means whole body here. There's the whole body background image background image on a page. Even in the whole body area, we can show the background image in this way. For this body element, if we are applying this background image into the same way, same URL as we used already, then we can show that the background image there, like this. Okay, let's move to the next. Background repeat. How we can repeat the same image if the background image is not adjusted correctly and the space is different, then we can repeat to occupy the whole space. Let's look at. Here, background image, example image, URL, JPEG image is here, and that inner side is like this, small, but if that is not enough, then we can repeat again and again, like this. If the size is big enough, then we can use just a single image. But if that is too short, too small, then that should be repeated again and again. To fill the whole background area for that specific element. And we can control that into this property, background repeat. Into this one we can repeat or not. If we are using no repeat, then it is not repeated. And usually if we are omitting this, then that means that is default. Thus, even though we are not specifying that here, about that repeatingness, and it is being repeated, that means that is default. Okay, and background cover. To cover the entire element, we can use this background size property. We are now running the CSS property name, and anyhow we learn that CSS property names in more detail later, but in advance this one is showing. Okay, let's look at this one. There are several other property names here: background image, background repeat, we learn them, and the background attachment, and the background size, we learn here. Here, background cover. Okay, this one is covering the whole space. And we can use this stretch background size property. If we are using this size, background size, then that is occupying the whole space. And if we are trying to, okay, it is not, okay, if we are trying to change that, you can see that is the whole space, and 100% width and 100% height. If that is being expanded, then it is showing the expanded background image to fill that full space. How about 50%? 50%. Then you can see this shrunk image. The whole space that is 100% is shown area. That is the 50% in terms of the height, and this is the 50% in terms of the full width. And about this attachment, that is fixed, and we learn later.